technology has been seen more of a male-dominated space.
Yes.
Yeah. So you will enter some boardrooms where you're the only lady, or you're the only African. Yeah, and you really must own your voice, and you really must master your craft and be able to provide value on the table. So I don't view that as a challenge. I think it's just the way the industry is and the way the world is, and we must be able to maneuver and be able to stand out.
Happy Women's Month, and welcome to the first episode of Season 2 of the Her Leadership series. From business and finance to economics and beyond, we celebrate the inspiring journeys, their groundbreaking achievements, and the contribution to the innovation and change they are making in their different fields. In this episode, we are thrilled to spotlight a trailblazer in the digital communications space who will be sharing her inspiring journey to becoming an award-winning communications director, the lessons she has learned along the way, and the future of communications in this digital era. I would also like to specially thank all the women that featured in Season 1. Thank you for sharing your inspiring journeys. We celebrate you, and stay tuned as we keep celebrating the women making an impact in their different fields. Welcome, Kanyi. It's an honor to have you with us today.
Thank you so much. Thank you. It's a privilege to be here.
Thank you. Why don't we start with a brief introduction?
All right. So as you've mentioned, I'm Kanyi Mwangi. I am a communications practitioner, been in the industry for more than a decade now, conceptualizing, executing, and delivering strategies across Africa. And I've worked across different industries, so that's media, telecommunications, logistics, and currently I'm in the fintech space. And I'm extremely passionate about what I do. I love my job. I'm a go-getter, quite ambitious, and I am also a mother to an amazing teenager.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yes.
And looking into that journey, you have over 10 years of experience in PR, marketing, corporate communications. What inspired you to pursue this passion in communications, and how has that led you to becoming a communications director at Mastercard?
All right, thanks for that. So, funny story is when I was growing up as a young girl, I used to admire the late Anno Fuller. She was a journalist at Kenya Broadcasting Corporation, and she was also a distinguished news anchor. So after the news, I would pick the newspaper and then I would pretend that I'm Anno Fuller, I would dress up and I would read the news to my parents or whoever would really care to be there. Sometimes I would do it alone. And I think for me, that's what started off my passion in communications, because I knew I was going to be involved in something to do with media or communications. And as I continued my journey, I think the interest grew so much. I pursued a degree in communications at Daystar University. And after that, I had my first internship in one of the media houses in Nairobi. And internship was quite hectic. I think now it's much easier. But then the journey was tough. Call times at 5 a.m. You have to be in the office at 5 a.m. because I was in production. So you have to be in the office at 5 a.m. You have to plan for the shoots. I would do casting. I had a stint at wardrobe. We would edit. We would shoot. We would do everything because you're an intern, so you're thrown into any department to be able to assist. So I think for me that set me up for success, because some of these challenges actually build your character and they build your value system in the corporate world. So things like time management, negotiation, even because you have to negotiate with different people, planning, and just being able to work with different stakeholders. So that was my beginning in the corporate world. Then after that, I moved to telecommunications. I moved and started off as a customer service representative, so extreme entry level. And I managed to grow and move up to be the PR and communications manager for Airtel. And same thing, it was quite a hectic journey, but also just the sacrifice and being able to make time to volunteer in the departments that I wanted to grow in. So as I was working in customer service, I used to volunteer in the marketing department. So when an opportunity came up and, they have to do interviews, And I walked into the interview room and they all burst out laughing. They were like, but we all know you. And I'm like, yeah, but I have to interview.
Right.
And nonetheless, I landed that role. And I think for me, that sacrifice and that going out of my way is what has sort of allowed me to get into that position. So telecommunications is what exposed me to PR. Telecommunications is quite dynamic, it's very fast, and at that time there was stiff competition between the two big players in Kenya. So there was a lot of crisis management at the same time, managing the regulator as well, and working under an avid and working under a distinguished PR expert like Michael Okwiri was an amazing journey for me. I learned so much from him. He's someone that I really admire, and is someone who gave me a very strong footing in the PR space. So moving on from there, I left after 7 years. I moved on to DHL, which focuses on logistics. So that's a totally different industry.
Yeah.
And that gave me the opportunity to work across Africa and to be able to work with different teams across sub-Saharan Africa. So then I was doing both marketing and communications, which was also quite interesting, an amazing challenge, an amazing journey as well. And I learned so much in regards to strategy and in regards to coming up with plans for different markets and different dynamics. And also just working together with different teams. It was an amazing journey, to be quite honest.
Yeah.
Then from there, I now moved to Mastercard, and I'm still doing the same. That is strategy and communications for East and West Africa, but also just looking holistically at the region as well. And looking at the fintech space, which I think is an exciting place to be in.
Yeah.
Technology is amazing, especially in Africa, because we have the youngest population. So we have to be able to develop services that will connect with them. And also the young people are developing, they're coming up with new platforms, coming up with new ways for us to be able to live, play, work, interact, So it's such a dynamic, exciting space to be in. And I'm quite excited to be in this position, and I feel quite grateful and privileged.
Oh, wow. That is so beautiful. I mean, that's really a journey showing self-initiative, even just the confidence to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
I love that. And I know you guys also were recently present at the Africa Tech Summit.
Yes.
Yeah, so that you sponsor that. So I'm pretty sure it's an exciting industry to now be in.
Yes.
And now being part of just the tech space and the communication space, what unique challenges have you encountered and how have you navigated some of that?
All right, so I think one of the unique challenges is technology has been seen more of a male-dominated space.
Yes.
Yeah. So you will enter some boardrooms where you're the only lady or you're the only African. Yeah, and you really must own your voice, and you really must master your craft and be able to provide value on the table. So I don't view that as a challenge. I think it's just the way the industry is and the way the world is, and we must be able to maneuver and be able to stand out. So as a woman in PR, I think over the years, one of the things that I've learned is just to be authentic, be myself, own my voice, and also just to adapt to various situations, because every boardroom you get into is different. The people that you're speaking to are different. There are different stakeholders, public sector, private sector. You must be adaptable to each of those boardrooms. And at the end of the day, I think for me, what I look at is what value am I putting on the table? So I think that's how I maneuver that challenge. Of course, gender bias in leadership is something that I think most women face. Getting into a boardroom and having a voice, and most people looking at you and wondering, okay, you look pretty young, what would you know? But you really must be credible, and you really must do your research, and you really must know exactly what you're going to say. So I think a lot of preparation, planning is needed for any young person, and even for us who are quite established, just to be able to ensure that anywhere that you go to, you're actually providing value and you're giving credible and relevant information. Yeah.
And from your personal journey, how has that shaped the kind of leader that you are now, and what values do you prioritize when leading your team?
All right, thanks for that. So I think from my personal journey, some of the values that have pushed me would be grit. So grit is just bravery and courage to be able to go over and above and just to be able to sort of over deliver and to push yourself to the best of your potential. And as I mentioned, I'm quite ambitious, and that's an advantage and a disadvantage at the same time, because you can set unrealistic goals for yourself and get disappointed, but at the same time, it allows me to push myself. It allows me to challenge myself personally as Kanyi. So if I get, I don't know, an assignment or a project that I feel is over and above my experience or my skill, I don't get scared. I usually just push myself, take time to look at it, analyze it, and see how best I can push myself to deliver, and who else I need on my side to be able to deliver that with. So that great proactiveness, taking initiative, I think is what built my career from the days I was in a media house as an intern to the person that I am right now.
Yeah.
Another value that I think I value is sacrifice. You know, what are you able to sacrifice to be able to achieve the bigger goal? And this is both personally and professionally. And I think this ties into work-life balance, because I think that's one of the challenges that we have, especially as women.
Right.
And what are you able to sacrifice for you to achieve your personal goals? What are you able to sacrifice for you to achieve your professional goals? Because a personal sacrifice actually brings self-fulfillment, which I think is the best feeling ever. That you've set a goal for yourself, you've made it, and you're able to celebrate yourself. So it's not even about exterior affirmation, but just being able to affirm yourself and be like, you know what, I've done pretty well, and I've actually set up a goal and I've achieved it. So for me, grit, sacrifice, proactiveness, initiative are some of the values that have pushed me forward. I think for me, the most important thing is my faith. Just being able to know that I can be able to lean on God and ask Him for wisdom and guidance. That I think has gone a long way in making me the person that I am right now. So with my team members, I think I really push them. I challenge them to go over and above their potential. I ask them, what is the best project you can do on your own this year that you can say, I came up with this idea, I have executed it, we have provided the resources for you. And at the end of the year, you're able to say, you know what, I have grown because of this project, because of this initiative that I came up with on my own. And that's something that I continuously do with my team members. I push them to maximize their potential because I believe everyone has a unique set of skills that they can be able to leverage.
I really like that, and I'm sure your team must appreciate the strong values that you embody. I'm sure sometimes it can be like, but
no, sometimes they're like, we don't want to tell you our ideas because I'm like, you know what, let's do it. But also building that open and honest relationship, it's beautiful. And as I'm saying, the generation that we are leading now is very different from when we were being led, because then it was quite formal. Right now, you can't lead with a lot of formality because this is a different generation, and you have to be able to speak a language that connects with them. You have to be able to inspire them in a way that actually connects with them. And what will inspire them would be, challenges that they can be able to engage with, connect with, and also that open door policy to know that if something is not working, they can call me or WhatsApp me. Those days there was no WhatsApp. So you'd have to sleep the whole night with your mistake and wake up and walk to an office, and it was quite formal and sometimes also intimidating. But now someone can WhatsApp you and tell you, I wasn't able to complete this, I need help in this and this, and we can have a quick discussion on WhatsApp. By the next day, we've already moved strides forward because of that instant communication. So just the leadership style also has to change,
Right.
because the generation we're leading is
It's
quite different. Yeah.
I like that you've acknowledged that, and I think it's a part of what you were talking about, adaptability. And I
Yes.
can clearly see that. I think even being part of the younger generation, it's very good to hear people being open-minded to just lead differently, connect with you on a level that you also understand, because I think we've grown up in a very instant gratification sort of society,
Yes.
where everything is kind of given to you,
Yes,
and you
yes.
can get very comfortable. So it must be very nice for your team to have someone who can push them constantly and just like challenge them to think broader and just go above and beyond what they're comfortable in. And looking at your journey beyond your education, what personal investments have you made for yourself? Because I know, and I want to go into that a bit, you've been recognized as top 25 women in digital in 2024. How has that self-investment led you to gaining some of these achievements?
All right. So in regards to self-investment, I think one of the things that I do a lot is I read my Bible.
Oh, wow.
And I think for me, that's the formula to all of life's questions,
Yeah.
professionally, personally,
Yeah.
intellectually, mentally. The Bible has all of that covered. And I grew up in a Christian home. So I am quite familiar with the Bible, and I am able to pick a story and be like, you know what, if Joseph was a nobody and he ended up being a pharaoh, he was taking care of Egypt, which was then, I think, one of the biggest nations in the world.
Yeah.
And he had to come up with strategies, he had to lead the people, his family had to come, he had to feed the Israelites, and he went through such a hard journey, people, his family rejecting him, going to a place where people are lying about him. And, those are things that we actually face in this world.
Right,
And you can be able to look back at those stories and be like, okay, how did they overcome and how can I be able to overcome? So for me, the investment there is basically in my faith. And that is one of the strong values that actually grounds me as a person, as Kanyi. Regardless of my career or where I am, that's one of my strongest values as a person. I think aside from that, I do a lot of leadership courses. I have a lot of women groups where we do a lot of courses as well, just to be able to build ourselves. Like currently, I'm in a group where we're doing a midlife class that is asking us, so you've lived X amount of years, because I'm not going to say how old I am.
You don't have to. Yeah.
What has been the basis of your life? Has it been purpose, or has it been, career? And there's nothing wrong with it being career, because for me it was career. And then the big question is, looking forward, what legacy do you want to leave as a person? And what's your purpose? And we are delving into those topics month on month, having very real discussions with each other and challenging each other. So I think some of these life courses and leadership courses actually open up your mind as a leader to be able to know, okay, what do I stand for? What is my purpose? When I'm coming to the office every single day, what am I bringing to the table, to my team, to my leadership team? What kind of a person am I? So some of those investments have been quite good for me. And I think also just building my own personal brand as well, looking at social media, LinkedIn, networking, being connected in the PR space as well. We have a PR group where we speak every single day on WhatsApp.
Oh, wow.
We also have the PRSK. I'm also in the Chartered Institute of Public Relations. I'm also in Women's in Board as well. So just being in relevant groups that will be able to elevate me and also allow me to work together with other women in the leadership journey. So having those great networks and connections is important. I think sometimes it's overwhelming because you may not make time for all the meetings. Yeah, but it's good to ensure that you are in one of these groups or in all of these groups, and that you can call on someone or someone can be able to call on you.
Yeah. I really like that, and I think it's good that you're also not only growing by yourself, but growing with other women around you and bringing each other up and supporting each other throughout this journey. I think that's very beautiful and very special that
Thank
you're part of
you.
those groups. And I like that you touched on legacy.
Yeah.
What legacy would you like to leave behind in the industry, and what advice would you give younger women just going into this communications industry?
Wow, that's a deep question. So, in regards to legacy, I think for me, excellence and dedication is are the two things I would want to be known for.
Yeah.
And I'd also want to be known for adaptability and being able to innovate to different spaces, and also just bringing value to the organizations that I work for.
Yeah.
And then also just empowerment. I'm not walking this journey alone, just to ensure that the teams that I'm working with, I am impacting them positively, that I'm empowering them so that I'm able to elevate them and I'm able to make sure that they can grow up to be leaders as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And what is some of that advice you would give to now younger women?
Owning your voice as a woman is quite important. Being confident and being authentic about who you are is quite important. You don't need to pretend. Personally, for me, I'm a extreme outgoing person. I do not pretend to be quiet. I do not pretend to be chilled. No, that is not my personality. I am an outgoing person. And I need to be able to use that personality positively in my career. And I think for me, from a PR and communication space, it works for me because I'm able to make friends very easily. If you put me in a boardroom, I'm able to break the ice. I'm able to speak to people. And that is my day-to-day job. So for me, I've been able to leverage my personality to be able to succeed, especially when it comes in building relationships with different stakeholders. So owning your voice is important. Be authentic, be yourself, know yourself. Self-awareness, I think, is something that we don't talk about a lot, and it's quite important. You really must know yourself. You can't be in a situation where you are questioning your abilities or questioning yourself. And when those moments come, you should be able to sit back, dig deep into yourself and ask yourself some hard questions. Why did I respond that way? Why wasn't I able to do A, B, C, D? And put for yourself personal goals that you can be able to meet. So self-awareness for me has been quite key in my journey. I did a course on self-awareness and counseling, which actually opened up my mind to the person that I am, you know, the good and the bad and the things that I need to improve on. And so owning your voice, being authentic, self-awareness, I think is the first thing that I believe everyone must do. When it comes to young ladies, especially aspiring to be in the PR space, I believe you must master your craft. You must know what you're putting on the table. If you're going to be in the PR and communication space, you must be able to research. You must be able to know the emerging trends in the specific industry you're in. You must be able to have a great network around you from a PR perspective. You must be able to handle different challenges and crises with a very sober head. And you must be able to work with everyone, you know, whether it's public sector, private sector, whether it's people who are much older than you, much younger than you, you must be able to work with different segments of people from various walks of life. So master your craft, know your stuff, continuously learn and be curious so that you're able to be on top of your game. The next one I think I would speak about is integrity. Just being truthful and honest and ensuring that you can be trusted with the docket that you've been given. That I think is a standout value for anyone in the PR industry. And then lastly, I've spoken about networking and also just paying it forward. As you grow, just make sure that you're pulling other people with you. If there are any other opportunities that you can open for other people, open the doors for people. Please open the doors for people. I think there's a narrative, especially in the corporate world, that women don't support women. And it used to be there, especially when we were much younger. But I think it's changing now, and we are seeing a conscious effort by women leaders to be able to mentor younger women and just pull them up and grow them, so that as we live each stage of our career, we ensure that we are pulling people up to fill up those spaces.
That's such beautiful advice. That's really amazing. I think definitely going to take a lot of that in as well. And I hope a lot of our audience are going to just hear into what you've said and apply it in their day-to-day. And lastly, how do you balance it all? The whole work-life balance. What are some of those habits or activities that you do to just restore that balance?
Okay, so as an outgoing person, I get a lot of rejuvenation by spending time with people.
Okay.
So I absolutely love social spaces. I love spending time with my son. I love spending time with my friends. I love going to social events. So anywhere where there's good music and good people, that's the perfect environment for me to rejuvenate myself.
Right.
Another habit that I am proactively building is also just reading. But I do a lot of audiobooks because that's what is easier for me. When you're stuck in traffic, you're actually still just internalizing and listening to the book. So I'm trying to ensure that I'm consistent with my reading. I'm in a book club. So nice. we read, is it a book every 2 months? So sometimes, of course, you'll fall off based on work and life events. But that's something that I am focusing on this year. And I'm also just reading books alone as Kanyi, like just focusing on the books that I know that are going to build me. Another thing that I do as well now is, of course, just spend time reading the Bible, praying, and setting that time early in the morning. Because before I would say, I'll read my Bible in the evening, but in the evening, you're just so tired.
You wake up and you say,
even I'm sure God is looking at it like, no, that's not going to work. But just prioritizing my faith and just prioritizing the things that are going to fulfill my soul, so that by the time I'm stepping out to go to the office, I'm serving from a full cup, and I'm serving from a cup that is refreshed. And then also just self-care. And self-care can be anything from, eating good food, exercising, walking, spending time with my son, spending time with friends, just making sure that you are aware of what your needs are as a person and how you're able to meet them. So those are some of the ways I'm able to balance it.
Oh, that's really good. I definitely agree with you. You can never pour from an empty cup. It's very important to just take that time to fill your soul. As you said it, I like that. And rejuvenate to just keep going. Well, thank you so much, Kanyi, for taking the time to sit with us today to share about your inspiring journey. Thank you for just opening yourself up to us. It's been a great time to sit down with you and have this conversation. So,
Thank you. Thank you for having me as well.
All right, great.